Trump Media has officially announced a merger with TAE Technologies. This is a $6 billion deal to bring nuclear fusion energy to the masses. So what the hell is happening here? What has Trump Media got to do with nuclear fusion?
When on the morning of January 1st, a Tesla Cybertruck exploded in front of the Trump International Hotel in Las Vegas. It later transpired that the person responsible for the explosion, Matthew Allen Leivelsberger, had previously sent an email to a retired intelligence officer by the name of Sam Shoemate. In his email, Leivelsberger wrote, among other things, that what we've been seeing with drones is the operational use of gravitic propulsion systems, powered aircraft by most recently China in the East Coast, but throughout history the US. Only we in China have this capability. China has been launching them from the Atlantic from submarines for years, but this activity recently has picked up.
Basically said, look, it doesn't make sense because to regulate AI at the technology level, you're regulating math. And of course, we're not going to do that. Like, that doesn't make any sense. And you'll recall that what they said was, no, actually,
we can classify math.
We can classify math. And literally, this is verbatim. We classified whole entire areas of physics in the nuclear era and made them state secrets, of the theoretical
physics,
science of physics. We classified them and made them state secrets, and that research vanished.
Cold fusion is a very unusual event. It's unusual to have something that contentious in science. Yes, in science there have been many revolutions that prompted debates.
Scientist claims a jar device could make clean heat from ordinary water, and the moment he pushes too hard, he is gone. In 1989, cold fusion exploded into public view. The claim sounded like magic. Nuclear-scale energy at room temperature inside a tabletop cell. Malev was electrified. If it worked, it could reduce oil wars, cut pollution, and make power cheap enough to change daily life. He later wrote the book Fire from Ice, framing cold fusion as a real effect crushed by politics. From that point on, his mission was not only to test an idea, but to expose what he saw as a system that could bury inconvenient results. The jar on your desk and the science behind it. Malev tried to describe the basic setup in simple terms. Take heavy water, which contains deuterium, a heavier form of hydrogen. He liked to remind people that heavy water is not rare, just diluted. Roughly 1 out of every 6,500 water molecules contains deuterium, so the ocean holds an enormous supply. Place electrodes in the heavy water, often palladium paired with another metal. Run an electric current through the cell. That electrolysis process drives deuterium into the palladium, loading the metal like a sponge filling with gas. Standard fusion needs extreme heat and pressure, like the core of a star. Cold fusion claims that inside the palladium lattice, under certain conditions, deuterium nuclei can get close enough to fuse without those star temperatures. If that happens, the predicted signature is helium, and most of all, excess heat. Malev pointed to experiments where output heat seemed to exceed the input power, sometimes enough to boil water. He argued that even small gains, if repeatable, could scale into something enormous. Home heaters that never need fuel, generators that run day and night, and vehicles that no longer depend on gasoline.
A metallic sphere dropped from the sky over Colombia on March 2nd. What was even more shocking was that when researchers examined it, they found no welds, no joints, no visible seams connecting its 3 distinct layers. Jose Luis Velasquez, one of the lead investigators, documented characteristics that don't match standard human manufacturing techniques, sparking an international debate about what's really flying through our skies. A seamless discovery. The object was roughly 1 meter in diameter. Velasquez and his team documented the sphere's 3-layer structure. Each layer was made up of different materials. Standard manufacturing for multi-layered metallic objects leaves traces: weld marks, fastener holes, seams where components connect. The Colombian sphere showed none of that. It shows no welds or joints, Velasquez stated. Any manufactured object, cars, appliances, aircraft, is assembled from parts joined through welding, bolting, or bonding. A seamless meter-wide sphere with 3 distinct layers doesn't exist in conventional manufacturing. Modern additive manufacturing can create complex shapes without traditional assembly, but the scale, material types, and surface finish of this sphere exceeded what current commercial technology could produce. Could someone have developed revolutionary fabrication methods in secret? Possibly. But why test it by dropping a sphere over a town in Colombia where it would immediately be discovered? Witnesses in Buga described a controlled descent, not a crash. The object came down as if following a predetermined path. No impact crater, no surface damage. It settled and waited to be found. The test results raise a fundamental question. What does this object actually mean for our understanding of what's possible? What it means? If an artist is doing this, why is that? Well, I think it's partly the same reason. It's because we're learning that we don't understand what's in our skies, what's in our waters. And something is going on that's essentially bigger than us, Mossbridge said. Even if the sphere is art or classified technology, it taps into genuine uncertainty about humanity's place in the cosmos. Our oceans remain largely unexplored. Ball lightning doesn't fit standard models of electrical discharge. Sprites and jets above thunderstorms weren't confirmed until the 1990s because they happened so quickly at high altitudes. A sphere has fallen from the sky with construction characteristics that are unlike anything on Earth, documented in standard manufacturing. Researchers haven't found comparable objects with this combination. A seamless multi-layer metallic construction, no identifiable manufacturing traces, and a controlled landing with no damage.
Laero, he was until yesterday MIT's leading nuclear fusion scientist. His plasma research led to incredible clean energy breakthroughs, clean tech, no fossil fuels. He was murdered at his home on Monday. Here is the news report, shot dead at 47 years old.
Back in the day, maybe 15 years ago, when there was a reporter interviewing the director of CERN, and she was enthusiastically saying, you've spent billions on this facility, yet the world has people who are starving and homeless. Wouldn't this money have been better spent doing some good to society as opposed to smashing atoms? And the gentleman continues to defend what the purpose of CERN is all about, to find out how the universe began. And this goes back and forth and back and forth, and she's agitating him to no end. And finally he just blurts out, well, what price would you put on time travel? And she said, did you just say time travel?
What?
And so thus that whole interview has been scrubbed, it's gone. And you have to wonder, was Nuno really about to come forward with something to do with free energy, or was it even more abstract than that?
Yeah. No, it's a great point. Maybe you could educate our audience a little bit if you can. I don't know, if, from a scientific perspective, what would maybe some of like this plasma study and why this is so maybe important?
Well, plasma and fusion has so many different ramifications. Nuclear energy, it has to do with, there are those who believe strongly that the moon is plasma, right? The moon, you've never seen the dark side of the moon because it doesn't rotate. There are those who believe that the moon is plasma and shows a snapshot of the known and unknown continents on Earth. And it's not 248,000 miles away. The sun, which Nuno was studying, is not 93 million miles away. What if he was about to reveal that the sun and the moon are within the snow globe of our Earth that we know as the firmament? There's no telling what it was that he had discovered or was about to reveal. And if it was going to be a discovery about free energy, well, that's not new news. Those who have investigated what Tesla was really up to have known about harnessing of the ether to create free energy. And there's whole schools of thought today about how in recent times, architecture of a world that remains in front of us, we see every day as we walk and drive to work, harness this free energy, but that has been deconstructed so that, you know, things like electricity providers and energy providers can profit.
Now Tesla had a chance to make history in Chicago. His large AC generators would supply all of the fair's electricity and prove that his system would work on a large scale. On May 1st, 1893, 100,000 eager spectators filed into the fairgrounds, awed by the gleaming neoclassical architecture. Night fell. President Grover Cleveland pressed a button, and the fairgrounds exploded with brilliant tube lighting and multicolored searchlights. The most incredible display of lighting the world had ever seen. In the Great Hall of Electricity, the public could see that the Tesla Westinghouse system made it all possible.
If you were asked to make an egg stand up on its own, how would you do it? This is an induction motor that Nikola Tesla brought to the Chicago World's Fair. It's based off of a story from Christopher Columbus, where he was able to make an egg stand up on its own in order to show his doubters and his critics his own ingenuity and his creativity. 400 years later, at that Chicago World's Fair, Nikola Tesla brought this induction motor to not only make the egg stand up without touching it, but make it stand up on its own. This was not only able to showcase its own creativity and ingenuity, but it was able to showcase the giant leap in technology that we're going to be taking moving forward as well.
On a warm spring day in 1974, the Betts family wandered through their property on Fort George Island, Florida. The landscape bore the scars of a recent brush fire. As they surveyed the damage, something glinted in the ashes. A shiny, perfectly round object, shining silver against the dark soil. It was a heavy 8-inch sphere, weighing about 22 pounds, its surface perfectly smooth and unmarked. At first, the sphere seemed like an odd but harmless curiosity. Perhaps it was a cannonball from long-forgotten explorers, or even an old piece of industrial machinery. But as the Betts family took it home, the object began to reveal strange, almost otherworldly qualities. As he played his guitar one evening, the sphere began to hum and vibrate in response to the music. It wasn't just passive resonance. The vibrations felt deliberate, like the sphere was alive and reacting to the sound. The sphere moved on its own, rolling across the floor and changing direction as if guided by an invisible force. It would stop suddenly, avoiding obstacles in its path, and at times it seemed to defy gravity by rolling uphill.
The jar on your desk and the science behind it. Malev tried to describe the basic setup in simple terms. Take heavy water, which contains deuterium, a heavier form of hydrogen. That heavy water is not rare, just diluted. Roughly 1 out of every 6,500 water molecules contains deuterium, so the ocean holds an enormous supply. Place electrodes in the heavy water, often palladium paired with another metal. Run an electric current through the cell.
The soft cell is a new geometric form developed by researchers at BME and Oxford. The astronauts injected water and surface tension pulled the water into the soft cell structure exactly as predicted. This
is what a photo shoot looks like behind the scenes. So water is vibrating to a low frequency sound wave and sitting on top of a modified speaker. And the color is from the colored lights that shine down over the water's surface. So I hope this gives a little bit more context, and let me know if you have any questions.
Cannot comprehend.
These things are real.
A lot of you think you know who I am, and you think you know what I do. You've been watching me tell you the God's honest truth for over 3 years all across the world on social media.
A little museum of artifacts.
It's going to take me a little while to process the information I've received and all the things that I've seen.
As you can see, we have made it to our destination. Select certain people to come to the dig site.
And if you think this is fake, then see how fake I am and learn the truth yourself. It's a precursor of things to come, but I can tell you, do not understand that we'll have consequences that we cannot comprehend, and I fucking know it.
Whoa, you can feel that energy. Can you feel it blasting at you?
There's a couple things blasting me right now. ¿Está bien si yo toco? Sí. This looks like a mummy. Well, Alex, you know how they said someone like call out to you? Yeah. What the fuck? This is one of the strangest experiences of my strange life. I want to break it. This spins. That's spinning on it. Watch, I barely touch it. It moves. I just gotta. I'm telling you, that ain't the it moves on its own. It's got a little catch right here. See it, amigo? Se mueve su mismo aquí.
Sí, parece que tiene magnetismo la pieza.
Este es por tiempo. That's a magnetic clock of some kind. I know what the fuck that is. A lot of people think this is writing. I think it's some type of circuit board. It probably is both. It's kind of like you have encrypted data, which is data that contains very valuable information. You can't tell because it's encrypted. The information itself does something. When you take that data and put it into a computer, it becomes a computer system that's alive. If we have that technology today, this is the same type technology. It's just a lot older, and they could make it without any tools. But the clocks. The Mayans had 3 clocks, a solar clock, an earth clock. This is what's kind of crazy to me. Clocks they had were round, and they were kind of spheroid. They weren't perfect, and they would spin inside of each other like that, and then where they would meet in the middle would be another time.
Hexadecimal 16 geomantic figures. Hexadecimal combinatorial optimization, Ramon Lull, 12th century, wheels within wheels that had numbers and letters, hexadecimal, 16 geomantic figures on wheels, combinatorial optimization, the operating system of quantum computing, taken from the 12th century and further back.
I see these damn 2 clocks that somehow work off of magnetism and something that I can't move that does not open that appears to point somewhere. I'm automatically thinking that that is something pretty interesting. And I know why they made it. That has something to do with Earth's time. What we conceive of as time is some circular thing. It's a concept. Oh, yeah. But they determine time off of the sun, precession, the only true time clock of planet Earth.